Alrighty, well I've just got to the trailhead and it's raining, so it's nothing quite like starting a 5-day hike in the rain, but yeah, it's nice to be out. Alright, on the way. It's pretty exciting. You spend so long planning a trip, thinking about all the details, and then when you finally start walking, it's always an exciting moment.
Where the river takes far away from home. Time to ponder in the fields around me, where there's nothing but the breeze and the great unknown. Leave your worries and your suitcase. All you don't need, nothing but you. So don't throw your hopes down on wishing well. It's your heart's desire carry you. Come and sail with me to the open ocean where you don't have.
I've been walking for about an hour now. I think I punched out maybe 3.5, 4 kilometers, so I'm doing pretty well. I'm feeling good. I've just dialed down the pace a bit. I was like a greyhound out the gate, so just kind of really started walking pretty fast, so I'm just dialing it down. I'm actually on a really long walk this trip. All up, my destination is over 30 kilometers from where I parked the car, so I'm looking at a 60 or 70 kilometer round trip. So I'm hoping I can get about 20 k's done today, but I'm enjoying being out here. I'm enjoying putting kilometers in the legs, and all in all, things are pretty good. All right, well the walking's going well. It's just stopped raining. Unfortunately, that means I'm swapping rain for flies. It's one on the camera, you little bastard. You can see that the trail is very difficult to follow in places, so it's really easy to get lost in this country if you're not paying attention. And that's the thing with these old fire trails, is they definitely do get reclaimed. But I'm just following the wheel ruts here. I can see there are no trees here, and then there's a bit of an open patch where the trail crosses the sandstone escarpment. But yeah, tricky country. I'm really not enjoying the flies that are starting to emerge. They're March flies too, which is unfortunate. Things are going pretty well. I just stopped to have a very quick lunch. So I'm about 5 kilometers from a gap in the plateau, and that's going to take me through to the next section. It's the only way through, and then from there it's probably another 4 kilometers to where I want to go. So yeah, big day. I've done a fair amount of distance already. Alright, well the walking's going pretty well. I am getting a fair bit of stiffness in my ITBs, so I'll need to keep an eye on that. The sun's popped out, so that's nice. I'm drying off, there's a bit of a breeze. remains to be seen if the weather from the west will come in tonight. So I need to think that through when I select a campsite, but all in all, things are going pretty darn well. So it's been a bit of a tough slog the last couple of hours. I've still made really good progress. I'm now through the pass and the cliffs, which has given me access to the rest of the plateau. So I'm very excited about that. I just got tangled up for a good half an hour in some really thick vegetation between the two plateaus. But as you might be able to see behind me, there's a thunderstorm moving in. I've just had a satellite message from my wife to say that there's been a severe weather warning issued. So I'm about 5.5 kilometres, 6 kilometres from where I want to be tonight. I've just stopped and filled up my water bottles, and yeah, I think I'm just going to try and get as close to where I want to camp as possible. And if that thunderstorm rolls in, then I'll reevaluate my options and I might need to try and find some shelter somewhere. But yeah, feeling okay. I've done about 15 kilometres. Maybe a little bit more, so yeah, doing all right. But let's hope there's not much in this thunderstorm. All right, probably 4.5 k's to go. The sun's popped out just like it did last time I was here, and so it's pretty warm walking straight at the sun. The trail that I'm following is pretty much gone. It's really hard to follow. In fact, I think I may not be on it. So it might not look like it, but I'm on the trail now. The only thing that really gives it away is the fact that there's no trees. But otherwise, yeah, you can blink and you can miss it. So we're in the last 2 k's, I reckon. The track's pretty much non-existent. I'm basically just following a line on a map, but it's doing the job. There's a pretty hectic storm moving in. I think it's just gonna miss me, fingers crossed. Yeah, a bit dark. So yeah, it's 3:40 and I've got about 2 kilometers left to where I want to camp, and then it's just a matter of finding a spot. Oh, about the 6th ankle roll. My ITB, oh geez, that's a little rut. My ITB is really quite sore, so I'm going to try and massage that and have ibuprofen for dinner, I think. But first objective is to get to camp, set up the tent, and potentially hunker down depending on what this does. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty tired. I've done more than 20 kilometers with a 20 kilo plus pack on. I'm definitely feeling it. I'm slowing down. But the good news is I've got 700 meters of this scrubby nonsense, and then I should be able to find a camp. At least that's where my objective on the map is. So yeah. Well, I am knackered. It's been about 8 hours of walking. It's been a long slog to get here. It hasn't been easy, but I'm glad to be here at my objective. There's a beauty storm rolling through at the moment, so I'm just going to try and get my tent set up just in case it rains. It does look like it's going to miss me, but wow, it's pretty impressive. I feel accomplished. I've achieved what I set out to achieve today. I'm in one of my favourite places. So yes, I'll give you a quick look at the storm. We'll have more of a chat later. I need to get the tent up in case this rain threatens. But yeah, we're on a bit of a mission this trip. Oh. Alright, I'm just collecting some rocks because I'm pitching my tent on sandstone. So I need to lay my pegs flat so I can tension out the vestibules. I think I've got enough now. Okay, that'll do for the time being. I'm going to get all my stuff in there and then I'll get some food on. Oh, so nice to have camp set up. It's been a heck of a walk. And I am going to do a number on whatever is in my food bag and comes first to hand, because I am starving. Well, it seems like despite the very dramatic weather, so far so good. Long may that continue. I'm actually in probably my favourite place ever. Just that way, 500 metres, is a point that juts out into the gorge and provides incredible views. And I'd dearly love to be camping there tonight, but with the weather that's coming in, I've ducked down to the other side. So I'm on the northern side, and I have a little creek which is great, so I can fetch water, which is pretty handy. There's actually some really cool indigenous grinding grooves there, which I'll show you tomorrow. But on this, I've just got a little bit of protection, so I'm not right on the top. There's plenty of lightning around at the moment, and hopefully I get just a little bit of protection from the wind if that picks up tonight. So that's why I'm camping here and not on the most amazing place I know.
It's worth mentioning that at this point, I was feeling pretty confident that the storm was going to miss me. I'd spent the previous couple of hours walking to this place and I had good visibility approaching front. It looked like it was just going to miss me and pass to the southwest. Unfortunately, as we were about to find out, that was just the leading edge, and I was very wrong.
Alright, I'm going to start off with a miso soup. A little bit of warm, salty goodness. Some warm, salty goodness will calm the nerves with this thunder about. And then second course, 2-minute noodles. It's good to have an entree. We'll just get those doing their thing in there. Bon appetit. So I've been on the go now for a very long time, probably around 8 hours, and I haven't actually told you what the adventure is. So this is my very favourite place. I love this gorge system, I love the plateau. Right at the end of the plateau is this incredible mountain, and I first saw it about 10 years ago when I was climbing in from a different gorge and caught a glimpse of this amazing buttress of rock that sort of juts out into the gorge. And at that point, the river takes a 180-degree turn, and it just stands out like this beacon, like this sentinel. And on top of that cliff, on that top of that buttress, is a mountain. And I've always wanted to go and stand on that mountain. The problem is, it's a very long way away from anywhere. So yes, this is going to be my opportunity to stand on top of that mountain, hopefully. Well, I don't know if my luck of the weather is going to run out. It's looking very ominous. So I'm just trying to cook dinner as quickly as I can. This is my entree of noodles. I just need a little bit more. Easier to do it now while I can before it pours down potentially. I hope I'm in a protected spot here. This is about as protected a spot as I could find, given how tired I was. So we'll just have to ride it out. If something does come, it's pretty calm at the moment. It's very impressive sky. Good old Maggi beef for the win. I tell you what, it's a superfood out here in the bush. I don't often have them at home, but out here, you can't beat 2-minute noodles. Right behind the camera is where my walk potentially starts tomorrow. Looks tough, so hopefully it'll look a little bit easier with rested eyes in the morning. I'll tell you what, there is something about the thunder echoing off the gorge walls. It's like an amplifier. It just sends the waves around. It's it's kind of a little bit scary, but very impressive. Oh, that's a bit scary. Fuck, which way is that coming? Oh man. This isn't good. There's pretty intense electrical activity everywhere. Looks like I'm in the bloody eye of the storm again. Oh shit. This feels really exposed. This is not good, not good. There is intense electrical activity all around me. What can I do? I'm here now. Alright, go in the tent. Oh, that was intense. That is intense. I hope it's just a small, quick kind of storm. Far out. Still really close. That lightning's still really close. God, that lightning is so bright through the tent. The sound off the gorge wall was incredible. Focus on that. That's an amazing thing to bear witness to hear that. Not the first time I've been hit by a thunderstorm out here before. That was equally as dramatic. This one doesn't feel quite as, I don't feel quite as protected here. Normally I get phone reception up here, but must be the storm or something, because I got nothing. I'd really like to see what was going on with the radar. Oh, it's not getting much better. At least the lightning's gone, but now we've got the wind. Far out. Oh, this is
suboptimal. Oh, why do I do this for fun? Why do I do this for fun? This isn't fun. I'm worried about my tent breaking in this wind. Oh, this is shit. Definitely not good. Sounds like there's another front on the way. It's now just a combination of things, right? It's the wind. The wind's putting tension on the fabric. It'll let water through. If this doesn't go over, I might be in trouble here. Go camping, they said. It'll be fun. Oh, piss off. That's what I reckon. Alright, I'm going to take some precautions. I'm going to pack up some of my gear just in case the tent. All I can do now is ride it out. There's nowhere I can go. Just have to hope my gear's going to hold together. I'm going to put my sleeping bag away and some of my stuff. Just in case my tent fails, at least then I've got some options. So, pretty sketchy, pretty sketchy. Well, good morning. The sun has just popped above the ridge there. Must say it feels pretty nice. It is actually quite cool this morning. Oh wow! Last night that was hectic, but I've made it, so that's good. I lived to fight another day. That first electrical storm was just insane. It was very, very scary. So much activity all around me, and that was just really quite unnerving being in a small tent. Just as I thought it had passed, and I got out of my wet clothes and I got all nice and comfy in my sleeping bag. Then the windstorm, kind of another front passed through, and really high winds just pummeled the tent. I was really worried that the tent wasn't going to hold up, so I got all my sleeping bag and stuff in dry bags in case I had to bail. And I don't know what I was going to do. There's a cave I know of about 1 kilometre from here, so maybe I'll try and make it there. All things considered, I actually slept pretty well last night. I guess the joys of having 20 plus kilometres in the legs. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. After last night, I am thoughts of pulling the plug are still in my mind, and yeah, I don't know. It's I'm feeling refreshed. I had a good sleep, probably one of the best sleeps I've had in the wilderness for a long time. But physically tired from the distance I put in yesterday, and a little bit on edge from the storm. So anyway, we'll have a coffee. We'll absorb some of this awesome vitamin D,
and we'll take it from there. So after last night's storm, I have been thinking about not continuing the trip and just leaving that mountain unclimbed. I think the reality is if I don't do it this time, it's not going to happen. So this is pretty much my one opportunity to get it done. It's just so far and so much effort to get out here that yeah, I just can't see it happening again. So yeah, if I decide not to do it, I have to be comfortable that that's it. I'm not standing on top of that place. So the thing that's playing in my mind, particularly after last night's storm, is this is an in and out walk, essentially, and so the further I go that way towards my objective, the further I get away from the car, and I will essentially, if I commit to it, I'm tripling my distance. So I've done about 23 kilometres, and it will be somewhere between 60 and 70-ish, depending on the exact route I take. And so I'm feeling pretty stiff actually. I've pulled up refreshed, I guess, from a good night's sleep, but my legs are certainly feeling each of those 20 kilometres. And so yeah, obviously going further away from my car is it's a big mental thing. But I'm going to give it a go. So yeah, I'm going to at least walk that way, and if nothing else, I've at least seen some of the cliffs and I've got some great views into the gorge, and then I might turn this into a 3-day trip rather than a 5-day trip. But if everything's feeling good and the walking's not too difficult, then yeah, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to try and walk right to the end of this plateau. So that's the plan. Oh, well, it was nice to spend some time at the cliff edge there. Such an incredible place. So all packed up. The wind, you can probably hear in the microphone, the wind has picked up again. The temperature has dropped, so it's now quite cool. And the wind is certainly blowing in from the west. So yeah, the objective today is to walk another 10 kilometres directly behind the camera and try and reach the end of this plateau. Now I'm not confident that I'm going to be able to find water there, so unfortunately I'm going to have to fill up and have enough water to get me back to this point. So I'm going to try and take 6 litres of water. The creek's just down there. Pretty cool little creek down here. There are some amazing grinding grooves here, and it just blows my mind to think that, you know, for tens of thousands of years people have been living here, going about their lives. Such an incredible place and has such an incredible history, and yeah, it's really awesome to be able to see those sorts of things. I've got a new filter this trip, so I've got a platypus, oh geez, I forget what it's called actually. I don't know. It's like the platypus version. It's a squeezy filter, but actually has a really good flow rate, and it is very simple to use. So and I've got some very lightweight water bags that allow me to carry water in volume. Yep, it's definitely heavier. Oh, it is a lot of weight to carry. But the alternative of not having a water source for more than 24 hours is not something I'm willing to take a chance on. So life is full of decisions and trade-offs, and it's no different out here. I have actually changed my pack since my last big trip, and this one's better suited to carrying heavier loads, so it does make it hopefully slightly more manageable. So that there in the distance is my objective.
So at this point, the wind was really picking up and coming in over the gorge wall. It was making filming very, very difficult. I reached this place and caught a glimpse of the two tricky spots I'd need to navigate to reach the end of the plateau. The first, just below me here, looked a lot more challenging in reality than it did on the maps. It's often the way. The second was still a few kilometres away and I couldn't really get a good view, but from what I could see, I could tell I'd need to climb through a pretty tricky section to reach the final part of the plateau. As I'd mentioned earlier in the video, my leg was starting to feel pretty sore. That, combined with the wind, the tricky country, and probably a bit of the storm from the previous night, meant I was feeling really uncertain if I wanted to continue past this point. But with the end in sight, a little over 6 kilometres away, and having wanted to stand in this place for so long, I wasn't ready to pull the plug just yet. So after about half an hour of indecision, I decided to continue. But that feeling inside me, that feeling of uncertainty, it wouldn't go away. Before deciding to pull the plug, I decided to keep walking for another half an hour, just to make sure that turning around was going to be the right decision. And that's what I did.
Okay, well, I've made a decision. I spent half an hour walking further towards my objective, and it didn't feel right, and as soon as I turned around I knew that changing my plans and doing something different is absolutely the right call. So yeah, sometimes you need to listen to that voice inside you, and I'm certainly have no regrets that I'm changing things up. So it's just gone 11 o'clock. I don't think it's possible for me to get back to the car today, so I'm going to try and get through the really tricky part that I got caught up in yesterday, and then I might have an early camp and just relax and then do the rest tomorrow. I don't know, I like to think this is kind of my experience, and yeah, knowing when to call it quits is important, and I leave this place with no regrets in terms of that. I've given it a go. I won't get to stand on the place that I want to stand on, but that's not a bad thing, and I'm okay with that.
Every day is a brand new day. All my life I've been searching for the right way to keep my head above the clouds, to keep myself from looking down. It's harder than you think to live our days in happiness and worry about
So after spending some time looking at the mountain I wasn't going to stand on anymore, and enjoying the views of the gorge below, I turned around. After a quick lunch at the creek near camp from the previous night, I turned around and started the long walk back. As it was 12:30 and I had around 23 kilometres to walk, I didn't think it was possible to make the car. So the plan was to get through the tricky section I got caught up in the day before and find a place to camp before it got dark, walking the rest of the distance the next day. Now at this point I packed away my main camera so I could move a little faster, but I still had my GoPro in my pocket and I was going to film a few shots on the way out. In particular, I wanted to show that really tricky section that caused me issues the day before. Unfortunately, I managed to turn on my GoPro early that morning and record a full battery's worth of pocket footage. So when I started walking that afternoon, thinking I had a full battery, I packed my camera gear right down the bottom of my bag. By the time I'd realised, it was just beyond me to get a fresh battery out, so I kept walking and didn't film much more. About 4 hours later, having filled up with water on the only creek I passed on my way through, I decided to pull up for the night and set up camp, about 11 kilometres from the car. Unfortunately, almost as soon as I finished setting up my tent, the wind returned and started pummeling my tent. Now my tent's pretty old now, and it was straining and creaking, and I just wasn't confident it was going to make it through the night with that wind picking up. So half an hour before it got dark, I made the difficult decision and packed up and kept walking. At this point, my leg was really sore and it made it very challenging. But I can be fairly stubborn at times, and once I put my mind to something, I normally get it done. I reached my car a little before 9 PM, almost 3 hours exactly after I packed up my tent. I had 28 kilometres or 42,000 steps in the legs, and I'd spent 2.5 hours walking back to the car under headlamp. And I'm really glad I did, because I got to experience this place at twilight, in the night time, and with a full moon rising. It was a really special experience. I got onto rhythm and I put one foot in front of the other, and I did it. It's amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it. So, over 50 kilometres in 2 days, it was a very memorable trip. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.